Welcome to Full Embrace. We're Summer,
and Michelle, two life coaches exploring life's
messy
beautiful
and powerful moments together.
every part of life.
Embraced. What do you think the most important thing someone could know is?
I would say their true identity rooted in love.
I love that answer because it could have been anything, right? And I think maybe that's what draws us to work together. We both have been drawn to helping people with knowing their identity. Why do you think that's so important?
I think it's easy in this life to take on lots of different identities, right? And I still do. And I just find knowing my true identity provides so much power, internal strength, clarity, purpose, relief.
So, how long have you known your true identity then?
The latest one, the latest one, maybe a month, right? I think in May of this year, I got part of it, and just maybe about a month ago, I got more details about it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think, like everything, there's kind of a process, or I don't know if it's unfolding or discovering, but I feel like for a long time I was living out and focusing on false identities. And when I was able to let go of those, and I'll just mention them really quickly. My false ones were that I'm selfish, careless, and lazy. When I was able to give those up, it made space for me to learn a more powerful, loving identity.
Yeah. Yeah, and what difference has that made for you?
What difference has that made for me? I think it helps me, first and foremost, show up in a more authentic way with people.
Mhm.
And it's also helped me to not be as afraid to do that, which has changed my relationships in my family and the way I coach and how I help other people. What about you?
Oh, I think I've lived a life of grasping and seeking and like feeling in scarcity and insecurity. So I think having access to my true identity has helped those things fall by the wayside. They don't hold as much weight or much power. Yeah, because the truth speaks more powerfully, I guess, than the lies.
Hmm. I think that's fascinating because I would never have guessed that you were living out those things or through those things.
Right, right. And I think we, as humans, we learn to cope, right? We learn to cope with life. We learn to put on a good face or perform and not necessarily be so open-hearted or open-minded about what our internal experience of ourself is. And like, I'm speaking the truth of how I perceived myself and how I knew myself and how differently I'm experiencing myself with this true identity unfolding.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, you're a great coach even before you learned that.
Yeah, yeah, it's like you say, it's a journey.
Yeah. So, how do you think this has affected your coaching?
I think I just show up more wholehearted, more more capable of meeting people exactly where they are instead of thinking I need to fix or they have some problem or yeah, less anxious, more grounded and settled, able to like hold that space regardless of what's going on for them. Yeah. How about you? How has it changed your coaching?
It's evolved, right? So I think for a long time, my focus was on helping people with their thoughts to change their thoughts so that they feel differently, so they could take different actions. And then for a while, it went to focusing on your emotions and processing emotions so your thoughts change naturally. And then you could take the actions you want to. And I still include both of those things, but now I feel like the most important conversation or calls that I have with people are the ones on identity because they're so empowering. And I think before I would try and keep like coaching and God or a higher power separate,
Mhm.
or I would be very cautious in bringing that into my coaching. And now I feel like that's always the most powerful conversation. And if they're not, if they don't believe in God, we can call it a higher power, their own higher consciousness, the universe, yeah, the source of light and love. But I do feel like there's something outside of us that helps us to know the powerful beings that we are.
Helps us remember.
Right, that.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you've experienced the power of it yourself and you want to offer that to your clients.
I just want to say now, if anyone who's listening hasn't felt a good feeling about their identity or even a strong sense of identity at all, that we would be happy to have a conversation with you about that.
Yeah. Highly recommend discovering it, whether it's on your own or with a coach. Yeah, I've been a person of faith all my life. I haven't known myself without it and wouldn't want to. And I believe in this external higher power. And I also believe in this internal voice, soul within that oftentimes sounds like my own voice, but the things that that voice is saying sound new and fresh and true. Um, and it's this internal experience. And I choose to believe that we all have access to that part of us deep within. And accessing that part of us, in my experience, is what is so empowering, life changing.
Yeah. And I think we can learn how to do that. The great thing is, once we do, we can call on it all the time.
Uh, And I think many people access that just intuitively already. And that's
Mhm.
how they've been living their life, right? And some people are like, I don't really know what they're talking about, and that's okay too. But it's like a skill that can be learned, right? And developed and honed. Like I'm no expert on it. Still learning.
Yeah, same with me. I definitely have seen people I've worked with how big a change just finding out their identity is.
And do you walk people through a process?
I think I do kind of walk through a process with people, but it becomes very individualized because
Mhm.
of how we all respond and what kind of intimate relationship we already have with ourselves or with our higher power.
Well, and I think it would need to be personalized because we're all so unique. And if someone were going to venture down this path personally, are there like questions you would have them ask themselves, their higher selves, their higher power, whatever, light, love, universe?
Yeah. And I think part of that stems from probably some teachings from Jamie Winship and maybe from the experience that I had with my friend Robbie, who helped me with identity, and Tyson Bradley, who continually is helping people with that. And sometimes I just ask people who they are and what they call themselves and what um, words come up for themselves. And sometimes those things people don't know. People don't have any answers at all. Others have answers, and others have answers that sound and feel very painful to them. And then we're able to take that next step to try and give up the maybe false identities that are painful first.
That sounds really similar to the process that I've been on. Like the false identities surfacing, holding space for them, grieving them, letting all that pain like course through my body and be present with it. And once it subsides, I have this feeling of emptiness, right? Like something is left or cleared or clarity, which then, like you say, provides that space to receive something more true, more empowering.
Beautiful process.
Uh,
When you said emptiness, I thought, sometimes emptiness feels so bad, but I think in that process, it almost feels like fresh and clearing, maybe.
Yeah, almost like cleansing. Like all that fear, all that pain, all that grief and sorrow, like cleansed my inner being by actually feeling it and letting it be a part of my experience. And it's painful. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Our false identities are painful.
the reason it feels extra painful in this process is because we tend to keep those identities maybe in our subconscious or in the
Mhm.
back of our mind. It's not in the forefront. I
Yeah.
wasn't going around telling myself, oh, you're a lazy, careless person. But even just the ability to recognize that I had that in me somewhere was helpful. And then the facing of it, like, and then noticing the pain that it had been creating for me
Mhm.
and the resistance to certain areas of my life because of them.
Yeah. False identities, I guess I would describe as like limiting. They limit.
Well, I'm excited that I'm not letting that limit us in starting this podcast and
Ah,
in helping whoever's listening. I hope you stick around for the journey and how it unfolds.
we totally believe in you.
Do for amazing,
Till next time. Every part of life.
embraced.